Welcome to the Inner Athlete Podcast, where we discuss all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.
Welcome back to the Inner Athlete Podcast. I'm here with Jordan Batis. Mr. Jordan Batis, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Trent?
Not too bad, thank you. And Jordan is one of the tennis players that we look after here. He's been on a bit of a crazy journey over the last, couple of years with us. And, we thought we'd dive down into his career and why he started here and where he is now and whatnot. But do you want to just give us a quick rundown, who you are, what you do? We'll go from there.
Okay, I'm Jordan. I'm a full-time tennis player. I train in Batis. I recently had my first international trip for tennis, played some professional tournaments, and that's pretty much where I'm at now. And I'm had my first go. I'm going to do a few more soon. So, yeah, that's summarize. That's
the gist of it. So, I can still remember the first time your dad came past. We had a bit of a chat. Jordan's dad's a funny character. Runs the local restaurant at the airport, the Moorabbin Airport. Great food. And then I think you came in. We had a bit of a chat, and I think when we first spoke, you had a lot of lingering issues and injuries. You had some lower back pain that you were contending with. You had some groin pain. It was kind of almost very cyclical. You'd go get patched up, and
it was just the same thing over and over again. I couldn't really fix it. There was nothing else I could do to help it.
Yeah, it was a really, really interesting time. And this was probably 2019, 2020?
I think so, yeah. Is that 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years, mate.
Yeah.
Dealing with your shit.
Wow.
And I think it was really interesting because you had some strength training in the past. You've had some strength coaches as well, and we had identified quite a lot of issues that we wanted to contend with. And I know one of the things that you wanted to really improve on is obviously just trying to get a lot lower and be able to generate more power, especially utilize your legs a lot more, especially for someone who hits the ball relatively flat as well. And I think when we came in, did your assessment, understood kind of the issues that you had as well. Then we just basically, the first program I remember wasn't 1x20. I know we've done that.
Sure?
Was it? I don't think it was. I think it was a program, tissue re-education. I think it was that one because I remember because it was when we got you on the safety bar as well.
ISOs?
Yeah, it's when we did heaps of isometrics. So we did basically. It's a program really simple in the way it's utilised. A lot of tempo-based work. To getting long and strong. Ran that for about 6 weeks. Then I think we transitioned into
the 1x20 torture.
Yeah, the best program around. I reckon.
It is.
We still use it to this day.
Yeah,
and I think that was kind of when we started to see early signs of success.
For sure.
Yeah, and I know it's probably a little bit hard to reflect on that because so much has happened between 2020 and now. But I remember then I think COVID hit us. I think it was March or April 2020, and then we all went into lockdown, and everyone just kind of battened down the hatches with their training and whatnot. And then you were quite fortunate because you had a gym set up at home as well.
Yeah. I actually, in a way, it was sort of good for me. COVID, I got my shit together a little bit, and probably trained the most consistently I had at that time. But yeah.
I think it was the time that you had the least amount of distractions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because you're kind of you're fresh out of school as well.
Yeah.
Jeez, you're a baby, mate, back then. You're fresh out of school. Obviously, COVID came and passed. You're still training throughout the lockdowns. And obviously, being a nationally ranked player, you were fortunate enough to continue to be able to train outside as well. I think it's kind of people were kind of a bit hesitant, a bit of a weird time back around then, but, you're still able to, keep fit, practice your game, outside as well.
Yeah.
Kind of get fast forward and into that time that I think we're about, 2022. Then, I remember we had a discussion, about, planning and moving forward and periodizing your training and becoming a lot more structured because there were some tournaments that you wanted to start the eye off as well, which was kind of I think for you coming to me with tournaments that you wanted to push towards and do perform really well was kind of like, all right, this is my opportunity to start cracking the ranks and start to put everything I've done in the last 2 years into practice now as well.
I feel like that was when I had a clear goal in mind. Like I wasn't just rocking up to training every day and just sort of winging it. I knew what I was working towards from after we had the chat in 2022. So
And how did that structure help you with your training? And
helped me so much. Like half of my problem was probably like organizing consistent training, but just having it already set made just doing it so much easier. Like I didn't have to think about anything else.
Yeah, it's almost like eventually you're going to get paid to just focus on the core, essentially.
Yeah.
And then obviously you just pay everyone else to do all the how and all that jazz, and you just focus on the what needs to be done as well. And I remember this is the time now, you probably reflect back on this. This is Bendigo. Remember you got washed out?
Yeah. I called you during the washout.
Yeah, you want to tell that story?
Yeah, I remember I was playing a kid a lot younger than me that I was probably expected to beat, and I was destroying him. Then we had a little washout. I came back and everything just sort of went downhill really quickly. And I had another washout called Trent, telling him like I couldn't even think on the court, and I didn't know what to do. So I called Trent. What'd you do? You gave me some breathing exercises.
I gave you a breathing exercise. I think you were just kind of like in a panic.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
I just didn't want to drive all the way to Bendigo, pay for accommodation, everything, and then lose first round to someone I should be beating, sort of.
Kind of like throw it away. Yeah, and then you called me.
Yeah.
And it's like you had your kind of moment, your little rant and all that jazz. I'm like, all right, let's just try something.
Yeah.
And I called it the rescue breaths, because it's kind of like when you're like in a real anxious state where your arousal levels are really high, and it's a real simple exercise that can be done with, and no one would even know this if you're even doing it. And that was the beauty part of it as well. Is basically I did it with you on the phone. So I said, all right, breathe in through your nose.
Was this the box breathing?
No, it was the other one. It was the rescue breaths. It was the breathe in, hold, breathe in more through your nose again. So with like a 3 to 5 second pause, and a slow exhale.
Yeah.
And I think by after that, within like a 15-second window, you sound like you had your shit together.
Yeah. I felt more relaxed straight away. Yeah.
Yeah. Then what happened afterwards?
I ended up winning, and I was at the rain delay, because for the third sets they play at that level tournament. They don't play a full third set. They play the super tiebreakers. So I was 6-2, 7-2 down in the super tiebreaker, and ended up winning like 8 points in a row from there. When I came back on, I was sort of like in a flow state after that. I didn't have to think much. So good job.
And that's an interesting point, is like, it seems like you perform better when you're not thinking.
100%.
You're just doing.
Yeah.
Then, especially when we spoke about when we had that chat, right? That I was basically doing a lot of the planning for your training and figuring out your schedules and whatnot, helping out with your nutrition side as well. When you didn't have to think and you just got to focus on just like doing, that's when everything started to fall into place.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably like the critical lesson for you, is kind of like, surrounding yourself with the people that are going to help with the thinking side, who kind of like, I guess, know more in terms of like setting up the training, the scheduling, how to prepare. Then you just like, all right, cool. I know this is what I got to do. I know what to do. I know why I'm doing it, because it's worked before. I feel good, feel great. And you feel more prepared leading into tournaments and competitions and training.
And less pressure as well going into it, because I knew I'd done the work as well.
Then you feel a lot more, essentially you just feel a lot more at ease as well.
Sure.
And I think those rescue breaths have been good, because it's kind of like, it's another tool in your toolbox, because it's like, all right, if you do get in that, that over-aroused, anxious state, I think you've mentioned to me a couple of times that you've kind of choked a few times within matches, like you pull up short.
Yeah.
And we've spoken about, different strategies
to
kind of work on that. And that's kind of like pulled you out of, tricky situations as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Then let's go to like, let's go to your most recent trip. So
Okay.
you went to Turkey, October, November,
Yep.
end of October. You're there for 5 weeks. Kind of like talk about like the build up towards it and what.
So
what happened.
before I got there, or
Yeah, just all the prep work. Like we did a lot of things.
we did, didn't we? I feel like we didn't necessarily like lift the volume of training. We just made it more specific to. I think we did. There wasn't a lot of volume there.
No, we just made it more, I guess, more sport specific than anything else. We kind of got essentially just peaking, lack of a better term, just getting you ready to go.
Yeah.
Then I gave you some stuff to do whilst you're over there as well, just to help maintain those qualities. But the trick that we did though, because if those who don't live in Melbourne, our weather is pretty shit in general, and Jordan was doing just in the sauna twice a week.
Yeah.
And the reason why was because it was like 17 degrees on average in November. Not November, like October, September, when usually it's spring weather. It's like, maybe low 20s, mid 20s, be pushing. It was crap. It was raining. It was wet. And then and because of Turkey's climate, what was the weather like?
Like 30, 34. It was pretty warm.
Yeah. So basically we had to get, acclimatized to the heat.
Yeah.
For you. So basically we stuck you in a sauna long as possible.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
So how did that help you in doing that preparation, playing in that type of climate?
Well, I was actually it must have helped because it only took me literally like 1 or 2 sessions for me to feel normal in the heat over there. So it had to have worked. But yeah, no, it did. It definitely did.
Good. And then because the beauty part is you do need to acclimatise to your heat. So, for people in Melbourne, it's cold, it's wet during winter. What most people do, they want to escape the cold and want to go up to the Sunshine Coast or Gold Coast or something like that for a holiday, and they want to get away and it's nice and warm. But unfortunately, when they come back, everything's a lot colder because they become more sensitive to the climate that they've been exposed to. When they go there, it's going to feel really hot, but then their body acclimatizes to that essentially. But when they come back to a colder climate, unfortunately they become more sensitive to the cold, so then the body has to go through an adjustment period as a result. And the good thing is with your adjustment period, it was a very short window of time as well, which worked out really well for your sake. Then talk to us about what happened, because in Turkey in terms of like tournaments. I know you had like a bit of an issue, a bit of a gut issue as well.
So I had a few problems early. One of them had to do with the tournament director over there. He just wasn't. I didn't realize how hard it was to get a practice court over there. So that was a whole experience in itself. I literally had to fight just to get a 1 hour training session in. So that made it hard at the start. But my first tournament I played a week into the trip. I played someone from Melbourne first round, which sort of made it took a bit of pressure off, knowing like it felt a bit closer to home, and I had won that game. Then I played a Irish guy who I lost to, but that was it was a big wake up call, because I realized how like more competitive, not that he was more competitive, just it looked like he was willing to do anything to win at the time. And then that's when I realized, oh shit, I'm in Turkey right now. I can't just play like I do in Melbourne. It's a different level. So we had heaps of arguments. I let my emotions get the better of me in that. And then, so it was sort of, I don't know how to say it. I was just expecting to do better from the very start, and that sort of set me back a little bit, I thought, but I bounced back pretty well. So I played that one. My next tournament, actually in that first tournament, my first match, I rolled my ankle, but I didn't even, because of all the adrenaline, I didn't realize how bad it was till I got home that night, and my ankle was like the size of a balloon. So had that happen. I didn't get to train for 5-6 days. I missed the next tournament. Then right as I was getting better, I got food poisoning. So I was throwing up for 3 days straight. So I pretty much had 2 whole weeks off. And yeah, so that was tough, but I got back into it and I found a bit of form in the last 2, 3. I made 4th round and that was my best result. So I was 2 matches off getting points, which was good effort for my first go, I thought. Still disappointing, but I was happy with the overall result.
And what did you take away from the trip from the whole experience?
It gave me a lot of confidence, knowing that my best tennissers can compete with anyone there. I just realised how everyone there, it's a different game to, I don't know, I feel like the kids there are just like, they look so well trained from like a young age. I don't want to get into the politics of Melbourne tennis, but they just seem more experienced, even if they weren't. Like they knew what they were doing the whole time. And yeah, they're just really competitive.
Yeah, and what are the things that you can take away for next time? So say I know you've discussed about going to, to Indonesia for a couple of tournaments over there. What can you take from Turkey, and like what lessons can you take when you head off to Indonesia?
Well, I feel like just playing that level gives you confidence, knowing it. Like my first time there, I was obviously nervous. I wasn't playing anywhere near my full potential. So now I've been there, sort of. I know. Well, I don't think I'll be as nervous. I just need to know that my game's good enough if I stick to my plan and just back my training in. That's all I've really taken from it, that like I definitely am good enough. It gave me a lot of confidence.
And since coming back from Turkey, how has I guess the return back to training been as well? Since you had a kind of a little bit of time off, from playing, from training and playing. Yeah. How's your return been to this point now? From I guess November to where are we in Feb?
It hasn't been as consistent as I would have liked it to, but I feel like I know what I need to do now, and my training has been more specific to like problems I had over there in terms of like maybe like my first serve percentage or something like that. Haven't been wasting time on court. When I'm on court, it's very productive. So that's yeah.
Oh, that's good. And I guess what's the plan for the next 6 to 12 months? I know you mentioned Indonesia.
I just need to play as many tournaments as I can now. Just play matches, keep fit, and just try plan out the year. So I'm not 100% sure where I'll go yet, but I might go back to Turkey again. I might go Tunisia. There's so many different places I can go to. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what's the goal at the end of the day?
The goal is to get a world ranking by the end of the year.
Yeah. So what do you need to get world ranking? Like, just for the listeners at home.
So there's a qualifying draw and a main draw. So you need to, because I don't have a world ranking yet, I'll be starting in qualifying, which means I need to win 3 or 4 matches, depending on how many players there are, and then win one. That would qualify me into the main draw, then win 1 match in the main draw to get a world ranking.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's definitely doable. I made the 4th round over there, so...
Yeah. So it's good. I think it's good that you got a clear goal that you need, or a clear goal, of what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest thing, I think, for a lot of kids is, like, say, for example, with some of the kids here, they want to play EPL or A-League or something like that, right? And the fact that you've kind of, like, gone there, you've kind of, like, been on the road a little bit now, you kind of, like, really understand the process a little bit more of what's really required. And I think... Sure. I think the main thing is to feel less anxious about the whole process is actually to find someone who's already been through that process as well. And the fact that you've, your coach as well was, you know, who's been on the circuit as well, which is really good. And he understands kind of like, I guess, the nuances and of that. And from my perspective, it's not like I wouldn't know that, but I know how to get understand how to get your body ready specifically for that and get your mind ready for it in terms of the X's and O's and all that jazz.
Yeah.
You know, he'll be able to help you with that, with more your tennis game than anything else. Yeah. But I guess from the whole process over the last 3 years, what have you taken out of, you know, training here over the last 3 years?
In terms of what's like helped me the most, or what's
helped you the most, kind of like any moments of clarity that you're like, oh, this makes total sense, or I don't know, I wish I had done this earlier, or something like that.
I feel like the main thing that's helped me here is the structure of the training. Like, I've always known what I'm going to do when I'm coming in. I don't just make it up on the spot. And I can really, there's exercises in here we do that are really specific. I can actually, like, genuinely, when I go on court, I can feel the same movement that we've been doing in the gym. With weight, so it's so much easier when I'm out there. Like, yeah. But apart from that, I feel so much stronger. I feel fitter. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's good. And any lessons for anyone out there that you would want to pass on? Say if someone's listening to this, or a parent is listening to this as well, or a young athlete, you know, what are like what's a key thing that you feel like that would really benefit them in terms of their, you know, whether they want to become a professional athlete or want to make a national team? You know, what do you think is going to really help them?
Probably the biggest thing that I've realized here is that everyone on their best day, it doesn't matter what sport you are, everyone can be amazing on their best day, but it's the days when you're feeling crap that you need to still rock up to training. That's where you get the most out of it. And if you can learn to perform when you're not feeling the best, that's what's going to make you like a good athlete, pretty much. And that's for a sports sense, I guess. But
yeah, I think that's a good lesson, because, you know, you never feel amazing all the time.
Yeah.
If you did, let me know, because
doesn't happen.
we all want to know that how we can always feel amazing. But I think that's really important, is be able to still continue to turn up even when you're not feeling 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's been numerous times you might have been cooked from the session, you know, from practice, hours before. You're like, Trent, I don't know if I can train today. It's like, all right, let's do something different.
Yeah.
Like, we'll do our flow series instead. It's like, the whole idea is to make you feel better and a bit more relaxed and, you know, more mobile. With your training, or just with your body. Sorry. And as a result, you know, you feel just generally better that you've actually got something productive out of it as well. So it's knowing your body as well. I guess knowing when you're feeling cooked and not trying to push yourself. You know, everyone's 100%. You know, you're 100% on average could be here. There's going to be some days where you get 9 hours sleep. You know, you ate amazingly 3 days before, and then your 100% is probably up here.
Yeah.
But then the other times you're 100%. Another time you might have a crap sleep, you might argue with your parents, or something didn't go right at work, and you're 100% or at school, and then your 100% is down here. So can you still turn up for that 100% at the end of the day, no matter what it is? But it may require you just to modify the training as a result, and still having that discipline in place, and being able to turn up when you're not feeling 100%, because ideally we always want to feel 100% all the time, and when we're at work, or when we're training, and when we're performing on court, when we've got tournaments. But it's those who can actually grind it out despite not feeling they're normal.
Yeah,
they're the ones who can do that. Novak.
Yeah, wow.
I'd say Novak was probably a good example, because he actually did his hamstring.
Yeah, it was
in the
3
second round.
centimeter tear as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's like was it Nadal? He had an abdominal tear last year actually.
Year.
Yeah, and he still played through it.
Did he pull out? I thought.
No, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, he had an abdominal tear 1 year. He tried to play through it, but if you know anything about getting any injuries around the abdominal area, it hurts to breathe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Novak managed to change his game, and you know, despite not being 100% his best, he still
found a way.
He played amazingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the lesson. That's actually a really good lesson. Yeah, just despite.
You said it a lot better than I did, but
yeah, I don't know. I've been on this planet a little bit longer.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to come out.
No, thank you.
An athlete. Hopefully, we'll see Jordan on the pro circuit very shortly. Yeah, I think.
Hopefully.
Yeah, Oz Open final. Yeah, I'll get like I said, I'll get a skybox sorted.
Yeah.
If you get there, I'll get a skybox sorted for the final and get the whole family up there.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
done.
That'll be sick.
But we still need to have our match soon as well.
Yeah, oh shit. Yeah, I forgot about that. Hey, I'm 6 kilos lighter, so I might be able to move around a bit more. I don't know. It's been a long time since I held a racket. Until then, if you like this episode, please like it, leave a comment below. Please also share this as well, because this is Jordan's been with us since he was 18 years old. How old are you? 21?
21, yeah.
21, so 3 years, literally, pretty much fresh out of school. He started with us. And it's been a really good journey to see how someone who's really determined to make this their career. The good thing about tennis, you can make it a long-term career, as we've seen with a lot of players as well. And then some players, don't peak till they're 24, 25 anyways in their careers also. So I think for you, it's been great to see your journey, see you grow. I think when you came in, you were just like a boy, you saw essentially with a bit of puppy fat still, and then now I think you're definitely taller than me now, and you've bulked up a little bit more, and obviously got your strength and power. It's really developed over time. Like I said, please like, subscribe. If you found this episode really interesting, please share with anyone. As I said, this is a journey of one of our youth athletes here, who's now just an athlete because he's an adult now. And until then, I'll see you next time.
You have just listened to the Inner Athlete podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the release of weekly episodes. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to get great tips on all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.